Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, but also how we're going to fix it together. And that's what we're going to hit tonight, how we're going to fix this together, because the Republicans have done something that's going to affect the ATF overreach, hoping for a really big PR splash, when at the end, it's not going to be able to do what they're saying that it's going to be able to do. And then you've also got the glaring opportunity of, why didn't this happen when they had all the power? Everything's going to be linked in the description box below, and I cannot wait to hear what you guys think about this one, because this is a part of the problem. And if you are new or you're a returning viewer, please consider hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel, and making sure that notification bell is on. We need as many of you as possible to get in here with us so we can help spread the information and pass the blessing of the Second Amendment along to the next generation. And thank you for your consideration. And my brothers and sisters, before we dive into what these Republicans have actually done, now this is the Senate level, and a lot of Senate Republicans have signed on to this, but you have to understand what they're doing. They're doing something called a Congressional Review Act. This is basically something that where you put forward a problem with a bureaucracy and an executive overreach, and then it has to pass the body of the Senate, and it has to pass the body of the House, and then the president has to sign it. But don't worry, if Biden doesn't have to sign it, you can always override the veto with 2/3 majority. That's not going to happen. So just so you know, that's the groundwork. I'm not bashing the fact that they would do something that's the right side, but I want to show you something and draw a pretty big contrast because this is important to see. I pay attention to the left and check their patterns out. I'll do the exact same thing to the Republicans. CRA, or Congressional Review Act, to protect law-abiding gun owners from restrictive ATF rule. Senator Kramer, colleagues introduced resolution to block the Biden ATF rule. Now keep in mind, this is not going to block the Biden ATF rule. I want that rule blocked. I don't think it should be allowed to stand. In fact, I bet you through the existing lawsuits, they're going to get smoked on it. But this is not the way it's going to happen. So it's almost like you have to ask that same question we do of the gun controllers. Why? Let's get into this because this is the part, I don't want to beat a dead horse. U.S. Senator Kevin Kramer, Republican from North Dakota, joined Senators John Kennedy from Louisiana and Roger Marshall from Kansas in introducing the Congressional Review Act resolution to block the ATF from reclassifying pistols with stabilizing braces as short-barreled rifles. Now, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to stop it. But let me show you this resolution because it wasn't all Republicans. I'm going to flat out say it. Tim Scott from South Carolina, Murkowski from Alaska, and Collins from Maine. Those three aren't on this list. Every other Republican jumped on. But there's something else recently, as recent as June, that a lot of Republicans jumped onto as well, who are also on this list. We're going to get to that in a second. So let me show you the resolution. This is in the Senate of the United States, and here's the list of all the senators on the Republican side of the aisle who joined this Congressional Review Act. Now, here's the problem. What I just shared with you with the Congressional Review Act, it's not going to happen. We know it's not. So the best case scenario you could say is, well, we've got them on paper now. You may have them on paper now. Okay. But you know what else you have on paper from June of last year? You have a lot of the exact same reasons that the Senate Bipartisan Safer Communities Act went through and became law, got through the Senate, because a lot of these Republicans actually signed it into law. Now, that's a different time. That was a different Congress. Not gonna say much more about that. However, I do have a bit of an issue with when you have the only ability to stop a encroaching overreach of legislation and an infringement of the Second Amendment in the Senate, you jump across the aisle and you sign on. About 15 Republicans did so to make it Biden's big crowning achievement of gun control in his presidency thus far. However, when you don't have the power and when you know something is doomed, you're going to sign a Congressional Review Act and get everyone on paper except 3 people who we knew weren't going to do it. Actually, Tim Scott from South Carolina kind of surprises me. But Murkowski and Collins, we knew that wasn't going to happen. They're rhinos. So what is the point? And this is one of the main points of this video. You also had a lot of representatives in the House put forward bills. Matt Gaetz put forth a bill to get rid of the ATF. That wasn't going to happen. It was a showpiece bill. You had Crenshaw, also same thing. You could sue the ATF for their overreach and have a recourse. Ain't going to happen. It was a showpiece bill. You had the national gun become the AR-15. That was a bill. Not going to happen. So why, and this is the important question, why are you diving so deeply into, look what I did when I didn't have power, but when I look at what you did when you had the power, you failed? This exact same list is what allowed the Senate Bipartisan Safer Communities Act to pass, which caused everyone from 18 to 21 in the United States to face an extended background check based solely on their demographic. I have a bit of a problem with that. So why is the approach, and this is a legitimate question, you guys can let me in the comments field, why is the approach when I have the power to do something, we got to find some kind of common sense regulation, some sort of common sense bipartisan communication and, what is the word? Negotiation. Or, excuse me, but when you don't have the power, you're gung-ho and you're not budging. Why is that? Now, let me show you what this actually says, because this is not a bad resolution. It's important. I just wanted to hit that part because it's a pattern that I'm noticing. This is providing for congressional disapproval under Chapter 8 of Title 5, United States Code, of the rules submitted by the ATF around factoring criteria for firearms with attached stabilizing braces. We know that that's an infringement. We know that that has a chance to get knocked down, okay? This is the entire piece, that Congress disapproves the rule submitted by the ATF about the braces, and we want the rule to have no force or effect. Again, it's got to go to the president, it's got to get through the House, and it has to get through the Senate. And then if not, override that veto, but it makes no sense because it's Biden's own executive action anyway. So that's the big question I have for you guys. Why, when we don't have the power, and the people who are so staunch allies of the Second Amendment, which I honestly believe some of the people on this list are, why does nothing happen? But when we don't have the power, there's thumping of chest and bill submission and all these different things which are meant to curry favor but have no chance. And that's what I've got for you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I will see you on the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.